Let's turn poop into something more beautiful. So if you have never seen this before, this is 3D printer poop. This occurs when a multi-colored printer switches between two different colors. And simply it just needs to extrude the old colors before it can switch on to the new color. And at the end of the printing process, normally this is waste. But in this case, this insane person thought, you know what, I'm gonna stick it on eBay and someone probably buy my waste. And yes, that was me. I saw this big box of waste on eBay and I have to buy it because I thought I can make something nice out of it. I recently switched over to Let's Resin and I'm already amazed how easy it is to work with it. If you also fancy trying it out, then I will leave a link in the description and in the comment section for both US and UK customers. It is an Amazon affiliated link. I get this question a lot, how I calculate the amount of resin I need for each project. Since I'm using very similar pots all the time in terms of my mold, so this is a brown flower pot from B&Q, which is like a hardware store here in the UK. And I made several different projects with pine cones, with flowers, or with golf balls. When I did those previous projects, I just measured the amount of resin I needed for this project, and I'm kind of going with that measurement. However, I always like to mix a little bit more than what I need, since I have some smaller projects where I can use the leftover resin or just use some silicone molds to create some awesome smaller little projects. I covered this in previous video, but I do like to use ZAP 5 minutes epoxy resin to mount my piece on a vase block. There is so many different versions and methods to attach your piece on to the lathe. However, I just found this one of the easiest and it just works every time. And for additional safety, I always like to use my tailstock just to give that support from the other side. And when I glue the vase block onto the piece, I try to center it as good as I can. However, as you can see, there is a tiny little wobble, so while I'm trying to turn the piece into a completely round shape, I normally go about 350 up to 500 RPM and then gradually building up to a higher speed as the piece getting rounder and rounder. As you can see now, I'm up to the 900 RPMs, and this is probably the highest I would go with a project like this. As you can see, there are a few chip outs on the right hand side, but on the left there is a nice smooth surface. So when I'm in the roughing stage, I normally go in quite aggressively just because it removes a little bit more material and speeds up the process. And once I'm getting down to the desired shape, then I will switch over to my negative rake carbide bits, which then will cut through resin like butter. And since negative rake isn't very aggressive on resin, it will eliminate any chip outs. And as you can see here, we have a very nice and smooth surface without any chip outs. As we are almost ready to work on the inside, I do not normally remove my tailstock until I'm completely happy how the outside kind of shaped, and initially sanded probably just up to 80 grit just to give that initial sanding, and then I will be able to remove the tailstock, put my handmade steady rest on and start working on the inside. Because once you remove the tailstock, the piece will 100% move just slightly, and after it will just make it a little bit more difficult to work on the outside again. And the same principle applies for working on the inside. Bit by bit I will remove all the materials gently and making my way to the bottom of the piece. So as you can see, that black thing on the inside, that's a 3D printed insert which helps me to reduce the amount of resin needed when I cast the piece. And it is super easy to turn. Obviously this is waste, unfortunately it cannot come out, so it can't be recycled, but it's very cheap to print, and I have a small little 3D printer, so I'm able to produce them. But again, it produces less waste and speeds up the process of making the project. And again, this big boy scraper, it's from Simon Hope Woodturning. check out on his website. They have a number of different scrapers. This is one of their biggest run shape negative rake scraper, and works really well to give the finishing passes before you go on to sanding. I usually start about 80, 120 depending on piece, and then I'll make my way up to 400 if I prefer an oil finish, or I go up to about the 2-3,000 if I will finish with a float coat of resin, or if I apply any spray lacquer. I'm working on a finishing masterclass where I will be showing all different finishes I use, and will be talking you through how to do your perfect finish. So if you're interested, stay tuned, and the online course will be out very soon. Then several layers of spray lacquer will go on just for extra protection, to achieve a very nice high gloss finish and to allow all those amazing colors to really pop. I'm not gonna lie, this is always a slightly nerve-wracking process, because this is the finishing part when the piece needs to come off, and if something goes wrong here, normally it is very difficult to rectify it. And as you can see, if you do it right, it just pops off just like that. But I can tell you, sometimes doesn't go that easy. And if you are interested in purchasing this piece or any of my other makes, I have a number of new projects just landed on the website, link down below or in the description. Head over to the website and take a look. Thank you for watching, stay tuned for the finishing shots, and see you back at the next one.